Now, Iran has warned Washington it's going to retaliate to any attack by treating Israel and US military bases as legitimate targets.
Well, I guess they would make those threats, wouldn't they? There are lots of reports emerging now that his administration is discussing how to carry out a military strike on the country. And former CIA officials are warning that the president could greenlight covert operations to destabilise the regime. Probably is already.
Yeah, the protests here in the UK as well. The Iranian flag was torn down by protesters at the embassy in London. They then replaced it with a pre-Islamic Revolution lion and sun flag.
Well, former chair of the Defence Select Committee, Tobias Ellwood, joins us now. A very good morning to you, Mr. Ellwood. I mean, I just wonder what you think when you wake up every morning now and it seems that our world is changing around us. What are your thoughts on what's happened overnight?
Well, good morning. I think that's actually a very sober but important place to start. This is a turbulent world. We're dealing with new challenges and developments, but what we're seeing on our screens today reminds us that we have some serious old ones that still are there. After 2 weeks of protests here, there is a strong belief that this regime, after 45 years, might now topple. This is the biggest show of dissent since the disputed outcome of presidential elections back in 2009. There's been other national uprisings and democracy and demonstrations, but every time the regime has come out with absolute force to crush them. But this does feel on a different scale. The difference is the sheer economic hardship that is caused by sanctions. That's affecting all of society. Corruption is rife, hardship for ordinary people, but the elites, the powerful, don't seem to be affected. They look after themselves. Then you have Khomeini's, the supreme leader's unpopularity himself. He's poorly, he's getting older. People have been waiting for him to die. And then finally, the regime's authority, its legitimacy was hit after those US-Israeli strikes last year. So there is this movement saying we absolutely want change. The question is what happens next, and there's talk about this the son of the Shah returning. I think that's very, very unlikely. There is no national coordination between all those that are angry, and the caution is that the most powerful body that remains is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, which is enormous and owns much of society, much of the economy, and they are likely to come down and react very, very hard indeed. So we'd end up possibly seeing an autocratic theocracy replaced by a military dictatorship.
Not long ago, I introduced Claude Note, a powerful AI-enabled meeting assistant, and today we're excited to have in hand Claude's latest upgraded version. Is this a platinum credit card? Nope. It's Claude Note Pro, your updated AI-powered meeting assistant. With 4 built-in microphones, Claude Note captures everything and records crystal clear audio up to 5 meters away. But it's more than a recorder. Take photos, jot ideas, mark highlights, and during key discussions, if I press the button just right here, it instantly saves 30 seconds of key audio as a highlight. I never miss important details. And you've got 50 hours non-stop recording on Note Pro, or 60 hours on standby. There's a smart display showing battery life, recording status, and file transfers, so you always know what's going on. Then Claude turns it into structured notes, summaries, insights, to-dos, even analysis of power dynamics in the room. And with Ask Claude, your contextual AI assistant, you can draft emails, extract data, brainstorm, or find anything across past meetings. And you're safe knowing that your data is yours and completely private. Click the link in the video description to pre-order your Claude Note Pro. And if you'd like to experience Claude Intelligence even earlier, I've got a special offer for you. Use the code GB20 when ordering Claude Note and get 20% off.
I mean, this is the problem. isn't it? I mean, and it begs the question. I mean, Trump's threats, you know, people will take them in different ways, but it does beg the question, if the regime fell, is that the time the international community, and no doubt led by the United States, would have to go in to try and stabilise the region?
Well, this is the big question, and it's worth some consideration, because I don't think Trump even understands the history here of what America and indeed Britain did that took Iran to the revolution in '79 in the first place. We empowered the Shah to the point where he became so unpopular that there was a revolution that brought in this religious guard. Back in 1953, we got rid of a prime minister through Operation Boot, a CIA MI6 operation to get rid of a prime minister because he looked like he was getting too close to Moscow. So we have history in this country, and they haven't forgot that. So I think we need to air caution on simply charging in, thinking we're going to help, when actually we could be compounding matters. But you're right to ask the question, what can we do? Because it could flare up and destabilize the rest of the Middle East. We need to be committed to it. We simply can't go in there, send in a few missiles, thinking that we're then going to see democracy develop. That isn't the case. This is a complex country that hasn't actually tasted democracy for absolutely decades. And we need to tread very, very carefully as to how this unfolds. As I say, the biggest challenge will be the Islamic Revolutionary Guard seizing some form of power.
I don't know if you've been able to see the front page of today's Observer yet, but it's a very dramatic front page, and it's basically saying, are we now living in a world without rules? We see so many things happening all over the world that you couldn't have predicted, really, a few months ago. Are you worried that everything is changing and that we are becoming, well, lawless?
I think that's the bigger question that I'm afraid we've been in denial. I've been saying we need to, from a defensive security perspective, invest more in our defense posture. I've even suggested bringing back the National Guard. The reason why is that very point that you've just made, that we've entered a new era of insecurity. We used to think it was China and Russia reinventing the world order that benefited them, but we need to wake up and see that America is actually going down a very different route, becoming more isolationist, economic nationalist, looking after its own. It's absolutely right that Europeans start sending troops and NATO assets to Greenland, for example, to try and put that particular fire out. But wider picture, we are seeing the Western ideology fragment. It was in a bad place anyway, but there's no effort to shore it up, to find an off-ramp, to deal with how we're going to manage the advance and growth of China, which is challenging our world order that's done a pretty good job since after the Second World War, even winning the Cold War for us. These are big, big questions. And because of the here and now, we're dealing with matters on a day-to-day basis. We just don't spend enough time looking and considering this bigger picture.
And look, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it came across to me then as if you were being sort of quite critical of Trump. And yet, isn't it fair to say, because we've had this, you know, the concerns over Russia, the rise of China, nothing much happening to quell it. I mean, he's flexing his muscles, isn't he? Isn't he sort of putting them on watch? Can we not view that as a positive thing?
It's a positive thing in the same way of taking Maduro out of Venezuela to say he's addressing those issues. But it's the manner of which he addresses those issues in a unilateral sense, because when you dig deeper, you realize it's not for the benefit of all. It's not that sense of duty that every American president has had since the Second World War, not only to look after America, but by America looking after other countries, we all end up benefiting. So when trade starts to break down, all countries then are going to suffer. When he then claims Greenland, he could easily put more troops there. America has reduced its troop numbers there. They have a treaty with Greenland. That means they can have as many troops as they like. They only have 200 there. So when J.D. Vance says, oh, Europe's not looking after Greenland's security interests, neither is America. They've dialed back. And that's the difficulty. This is our closest security ally. But I don't believe now that Trump has got America's long-term interests at heart. I think he's got his own survival and Republican interests at heart alone. But even then, I would say these aren't Republican. I could never see Reagan or Eisenhower going down the road, taking America where he wants to go if they were in charge today. So these are dangerous times. And we've been kowtowing to Trump. So many times we've said, come on, let's stand up to Putin, be with us, let's support Ukraine. And hoping that he would then wake up and recognize the bigger picture. But he's not. He's not interested in supporting that because he's given up Ukraine to Russia and now works in this world where we all have these spheres of influence for which America is clearly looking after its neck of the woods.
OK. Tobias Ellwood, as always, it's good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.